he just had an amazing grasp of the Democratic Party, especially because of his history with the party. And we were able to build on that.
He took a very strong interest in public policy that affected people.
He was also very good to praise people for the roles that they had played in planning something. But a lot of my contact with Dwaine was on foot or on bicycle.
Democratic Visions is handmade by volunteers for the entire metro region by DFL Senate District 42.
Not every Democrat who's made a real difference in this world is as well known as a Tom Rukavina, Amy Klobuchar, or Rudy Perpich. Some, like Dwaine Lindberg, who died in early January at 84 years young, helped make their state and communities much better places to live. Dwaine served in the Army in World War II and graduated from the University of Minnesota on the GI Bill. He later earned a master's degree from the University of Pennsylvania. He went to work for the Minneapolis Family and Children's Service and later to the Minnesota Department of Human Services, where he specialized in child welfare. Dwaine served on the board of the DFL Education Foundation and on the Bike Edina Task Force. He liked bicycling and getting trails planned and built. We welcome Joni Bennett to our table. Joni is a member of the Edina City Council and knew Dwaine as an ardent and active community volunteer. He was an octogenarian and a grassroots leader. Welcome, Joni.
Good to be here, Tim. Dwaine was an organizer. I think one of the things that I think drew me to Dwaine or made me appreciate him so much was I think we shared a goal in terms of community betterment, but we also shared an impression or a choice of means to that goal, which was informing the community. So the first program that we worked on together was one that took up an issue without party political ties. It was a referendum, a facilities referendum in the city, and there was a lot of stuff in the press about it. There was particularly a lot of promo pieces or materials going, printed materials, but not much by way of open public discussion.
The May 2001 referendum was to improve and expand city athletic facilities, some of which were on school district property. The ballot question was complex, so Lindberg helped organize a kind of independent citizens forum to explore the issue more closely and got the DFL to cover expenses.
We held it at the old Edina Library on 50th Street, and after that program, Dwaine reported bringing one of his neighbors who had been a long-term Republican, who was so impressed by the fact that there would be this open discussion sponsored by a Democratic Party that he decided to switch parties.
The referendum experience revealed the value of an open, independent forum. Lindberg argued for more of them on other issues.
Dwaine presented the case for continuing these, and he identified three purposes for doing them. One of them was seeking creative solutions as a community, looking at the issues that face the community and trying to find solutions. The second one was for perhaps focusing the community's interest on something that the community might not be aware of, but there was an issue out there. The third and kind of last, was informing people of the party's position on things. So I think he really was about, his work really was about bringing the information forward to people.
A series of forums was held at Normandale Community College, funded by the DFL Education Foundation and Senate District 41. Conservative and progressive speakers were featured.
Well, Dwaine lived his convictions. He worked hard. He knew what had to be done to communicate with the community, and he was a wonderful planner. He just had an amazing grasp of the Democratic Party, especially because of his history with the party. And we were able to build on that. Very easy to work with, a very soft-spoken, gentle person who really knew what he was doing. In the early Humphrey days, he could share the history of the farmers and labor unions getting together. He had an amazing grasp of that history, and it was fun to listen to him talk about it.
Well, I got to know Dwaine during this period that we were both in school. After we left school, I didn't see Dwaine very much, but then in recent years, we became reacquainted, and he joined an organization, the DFL Education Foundation, and we had an opportunity to reconnect.
Don was here to visit him just shortly before he died. They were remembering a lot of things because they were together in college. They were both veterans at the university at the same time.
The way he approached public issues reflected the concern he had for people, and he took a very strong interest in public policy that affected people. He was one of the more thoughtful people that I've encountered in my life career.
My lasting impression of Dwaine is that he brought a lot of common sense to matters. For example, when all the hue and cry was up in the air about taxing, whether we're taxed too little, whether we're taxed too much, he sort of cut to the quick and said, are we getting value for our dollars? And I think that that's a pretty good way of looking at it.
I don't think that I ever held a conversation with Dwaine sitting down, except at one of the meetings to plan one of these fora, because Dwaine was also a doer. And so we might have a conversation, quick one, on the telephone. He would send a succinct email. He was also very good to praise people for the roles that they had played in planning something. But a lot of my contact with Dwaine was on foot or on bicycle.
Dwaine Lindberg was an avid bicyclist. He rode in 17 MS rides across Minnesota and loved our regional trail system. But he and his wife Sue lived in Edina, a town without bikeways.
The Bike Edina Task Force was begun in about 2006, and it originated over a proposal that was it was a trail proposal that would have crossed a lot of roadways and driveways, and there were some biking advocates in the community who wanted to come forward and have a voice on what would be designed. And they worked to prepare a bike plan that has been made part of the city's comprehensive plan. And then also there are parts of that plan that are being implemented. The one that Dwaine was working most on up until this fall when he went into hospice care was a link between the southeastern part of the community and the city lakes in Minneapolis.
He was one of the founding members of the Bike Edina Task Force. He had a lot of expertise in biking because he was a biker, and I think also because of his working life as a social worker for the county. He understood the processes that you have to go through to meet the requirements of government. You know, to get infrastructure funding, you've got to work with the various agencies and meet their requirements, and he was an expert at that.
Before he died, Dwaine did see the completion of parts of the bike plan that he had worked on. The Edina Promenade passes right through his neighborhood, between Centennial Lakes and Southdale.
He told me and several other people that he was going to try and do two more things in his life. And one was to follow the doctor's orders, and the second was to continue to do those things that affirmed his values.
The last person in that clip is Dwaine's wife, Susan. Joni, thanks for stopping by and sharing those memories with us.
Tim, thank you for the opportunity.
Well, I think emulating his commitment, his interest in people, his commitment to making life better where he could, I think is an example that all of us would find attractive, and I hope young people might believe that that's the way they ought to run their lives too.
Democratic Visions is handmade by volunteers for DFL Senate District 42, Lori Pryor, Chair. Democratic Visions can also be seen on YouTube and at dflsd42.org.